Are you struggling as a new manager? Have you got seemingly endless problems or questions that are making you feel like you just can't cope, like you're going to fail? Well, clicking on this video might just have been the best thing you could have done. Because in this video, I'll go through 10 of the most common new manager problems and I'll fix them for you. It'll make you feel energized and ready to smash it at work. This is Productivity Ace. Let's get it done. Being a new manager is a really daunting feeling. And if you're in that position, you'll doubtless have tons of problems that are causing you so much stress and anxiety. Well, listen up. I've been a people manager for over 20 years and I've helped hundreds of people with their new manager challenges. So this video is going to make you feel great again and ready to smash it as a new leader. So let's take a look at 10 of the most common new manager problems. And not only that, I'm going to fix them for you as well. You're worried your friendships will be affected. Well, many new managers have come from a position where they were one of the most senior people in the team and have now been promoted into the team leader or manager role. This can sometimes be at the expense of others in the team who might have actually been eyeing up the top job. But you got it, and now you're in charge of some people that you've worked with for years and that you're good friends with. You socialise together regularly and have some of those close conversations in the pub, talking about work, careers, bosses and the company. But now you're the manager. And this is one of the most important mindset shifts to undertake. The answer to whether your friendships will be affected is yes, they will. Yes, they will. In order to be as effective as a manager as possible, you will need to change the level of relationship you have with your team. You simply won't be able to be that mate in the pub anymore. There's no reason you still can't be good friends with your team, but it will come with boundaries. As a manager, you'll have to evaluate and judge your team. You'll have to coach and empower. You'll also have to discipline and provide tough messages. And you might even have to let people go. And all of this is going to be made so much easier if you can maintain that level of abstraction between you and your team. You're in charge now, and as such, your role and relationship is totally different to what it was before. I've seen many new managers really struggle with this mindset. This transition can be a real problem. But those that come to terms with it quickly are much better positioned to get on with their new roles and more prone to succeed. So if you're worried that your friendships will change, well, yes, they will. But you've got to accept it and move on. You don't know how to be a manager. Oh, yes, you do. At least partially. Because your management has seen something in you that they've felt makes you capable of doing this role. Because you wouldn't have been promoted into it otherwise. You wouldn't have been promoted just because you're the best technical person or subject matter expert. Experienced eyes have evaluated you and they've seen the potential. So now what do you do? Well, being a manager isn't something that comes immediately. It's a set of skills and competencies that you'll need to learn and learn fast. It's a skill set just like anything else. So take time to get studying. Luckily, there are tons of resources out there that can help you understand and practice what it takes to be a manager and to evolve that management ability into coaching and being a true leader of people. It's up to you to go out and consume it. Consume it, learn it, practice it, and evolve it. So while yes, you won't know how to be a manager or a leader on day one, the more you read and study, the more your capabilities will increase. And before you know it, you'll have nailed the basics and then you'll be really able to use your advanced coaching and leadership skills to express yourself. And that's when it really becomes fun. You've got way too much work to do now. Yep, you do. But also, you don't. Because a common mistake I see with new managers is that of trying to do everything. And many times the manager will still try to perform aspects of their own role. I was guilty as this as well. I just couldn't relinquish those production support passwords. I mean, just in case I needed to log in back into the systems and upgrade them and perform some changes. Letting go of the tasks you've used to do before being a manager can be really difficult. I mean, you were probably really good at them, right? And you probably enjoyed them a lot too. But as a new manager, it's vital to realize that this isn't what your job is anymore. You've got a team of people that you need to look after and empower to do that job that you used to do. And you need to help them to do it well, not do it for them. So how to fix the problem of too much work? Well, this is all about delegation. Work out the tasks that need to be done and dish them out as fairly as you can amongst the team. And that doesn't include you. You'll have a whole load of management responsibilities and tasks to perform. And that level of delegation isn't something that comes easy to the new manager. You'll have to put in your trust to the team. You'll have to make sure they're set up to perform the tasks and that you're monitoring and responding to the quality of the output. Because it's up to you to empower people to do well and to coach those that are struggling so that they can be their absolute best. And that might be a lot of work at first, but once you're into a few iterations of project work and a number of sprints under your belt, then you and your team will get into that rhythm of delivering. You'll be able to deliver consistently, and that's a really great thing. Again, like many aspects of being a new manager, this requires a big mindset shift to place your trust in your team and let go. You'll also need to resist that horrible urge to micromanage every last detail of the work that the team does, as that's one of the things that people hate the most. So supervise, but trust in your team and trust in your ability to help them deliver. There are many resources and courses out there that can help you with the finer points of how to delegate fairly and efficiently. So take some time to study the art of delegation. That's what your team is for, and I've seen so many new managers burn themselves out because they don't delegate properly. You're apprehensive when dealing with a senior audience. Well, that's absolutely natural. As you've just been promoted to a management role, you're obviously going to have a different level of exposure in your day-to-day interactions. And that'll mean more time at the top tables and in decision-making processes. And that could be quite scary. You'll find yourself covering important meetings for your own manager when they're off, or leading larger initiatives or projects. You'll be the one that stakeholders come to complaining when they're unhappy. You'll have to face up to them. And these interactions are likely to be very different than the ones that you've been used to as a team member. And the first time you're called up by your manager's manager or even higher up is one hell of a scary experience. So what do you do? Well, the critical aspect of these type of senior meetings is preparation. You have to have your act together. These are not meetings to go into blind or not an opportunity to wing it. Make sure you know the critical KPIs and metrics of your team, the financial details, the costs, who pays what, the running overheads of your team, your software and hardware and license costs. Make sure you've got your roadmap documented. What's your team working on now? What's coming up? What about next year? Have you got a documented strategy? Have you got a status report ready to go? Have you got a list of your issues and problems? What's the status of those key projects? What about the people in your team? Have you got an org chart? What's your workforce strategy? So many more questions like this that you must know the answers to. My recommendation is not to try and memorize that information, but maintain a list of materials that you can keep regularly up to date and that you can easily access at zero notice. Because there's no need to stress yourself out trying to remember all of that. Just have a set of materials that you can call up at a moment's notice. Because senior people like to spring surprises on you. So if you're called into a meeting to give an update on your team's projects, then having all that prepared material is a fantastic safety net, and it can allow you then to concentrate on your delivery and articulation of those messages because you know you've got the pertinent information in a nicely presented deck ready to go at any time. Then it's up to you to embrace these opportunities because they won't come around that often. And having the mindset to realize that these interactions with senior folks are actually really big opportunities to make your mark and leave a positive impression on senior folks. People that make waves in companies are the ones who make sure that they're constantly on the ball for these key opportunities. And the more of them that go well, the more confident you'll be for the next ones and the more opportunities that will arise. You don't know how to manage upwards. Another understandable one. Because managing upwards refers to that need to influence the relationships you have with your own management and above. And of course it figures that the easier you can make your own manager's life, the better that relationship will be. But how? How on earth do you make your manager's job easier? So it's time to get your crystal ball out and do some psychic work. Yep, you'll need to predict and understand what your manager needs. And then act on those needs proactively and without the need to be asked or chased or followed up. Most managers will have some common needs. They'll want to know the roadmap of your team and the strategy. They'll want to know the status of projects. They'll want to know what the major issues are and any people issues you have and what you're doing about them. And they'll want to know the costs. Your boss will also want to know what the major problems are and that you're bringing them to their attention in a timely manner, that you're escalating quickly. In fact, I've not got one, but two videos on this exact subject, so take a look at them for a detailed breakdown of what your boss wants for you. Then the more you can deliver for your manager, the better the relationship will be. And that'll result in more support, more trust, and a greater bond. Before the next tip, a really important message. Have you subscribed to this channel? Go on, it's totally free. It takes one click and you're there. You'll be guaranteed not to miss the great leadership content that could possibly be the video that catapults you right into the leadership stratosphere. So, what are you waiting for? Next problem. You don't feel comfortable enough being tough on your team. Again, fully understandable. Especially when the team that you will now manage was the one you were integrated into and had great relationships and even really great friendships with. But now you're a boss. And as we mentioned before, managing your relationships and changing the dynamic of those friendships is absolutely critical. But your own performance as a manager is entirely dependent on that of your team. If they're not delivering, then you're not going to be rated well. And if you've got one or more bad apples or people that aren't displaying the right attitude, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you delivery, it's going to affect your end of year rating, and ultimately it's going to damage your career. Are you going to let that happen? As a manager, being able to effectively and fairly deliver tough messages is one of the most vital skills you need to master. It's not personal, it's all about performance and attitude. And while nobody likes conflict, these messages have to be delivered. And the delivery of these tough messages can be a stressful situation. I know, I've had sleepless nights worrying about a difficult conversation that I have to have with somebody the next day. That's absolutely natural. But as a new manager, if you can build up that culture of trust, then your team will know that any tough messages you need to deliver will be for consistent reasons. Nothing's personal, it's all about performance. You don't know exactly what everyone is doing. Simple on this, you don't have to. Especially if you've got a reasonably big team. This is all about that culture of trust and accountability that you need to establish in your team. Because if you set your team challenging and fulfilling objectives and you trust them to own and deliver those objectives, then there's no need for you to know all the detail. A good manager sets the higher level objectives and then trusts their team to deliver. I like to divide the team workload into specific functional buckets aligned to our team objectives. I'll then assign a person to be accountable for each bucket, and those people will have the freedom to decide what work tasks make up those buckets and how they're delivered. They can bring in other members of the team to help, but at the end of the year, that person is fully accountable for the delivery of those buckets. This way, everybody knows who's doing what, who's accountable for what work items, and I know the team is owning the high-level objective. I don't even need to know what work items make up the buckets. I trust my team to work that out and deliver. They're the experts. They're the experts. I trust them to make the right decisions and own those deliverables. Managers that want to know every last aspect of what someone is working on can be a source of great irritation. This is called micromanaging, and it's commonly placed high in the must improve section that you see in employee surveys. People hate it. People find that being micromanaged makes them feel less trusted and less empowered. I always try to avoid that by providing the team with the freedom they need to deliver, the trust they need to deliver, but also the responsibility and the knowledge that they're completely accountable for their own work. That way you as a manager don't need to fill your head trying to remember and monitor all the detail. And believe me, as a new manager, you'll need that headspace to be able to fulfill all of your other duties. You don't know how to hire people. Well, hiring or bringing new people into your team, it really is one of the most important tasks that any manager needs to be able to perform. People will leave and they'll need to be replaced. You may be lucky enough to get more headcount to expand your team. So a team manager will always have some form of people onboarding in flight. It happens all the time and you need to get good at it. And being able to find and identify and attract, onboard and develop people, it's a real skill with a lot of moving parts. But again, just like many of the other aspects of management, this is a learnable skill. In fact, I've got a whole course that takes you through the hiring process from start to finish, how to hire the best people. It's based on 20 years of hiring people, and I'll show you exactly how you can master the hiring process. Have a look in the link in the description, and before you know it, you'll have mastered the process of bringing quality people into your team. And then just wait until you have been responsible for finding and developing someone into a key member of your team. It feels great. You might even help to launch a great career. You don't have enough time. So firstly, see the previous advice regarding the need to delegate efficiently. Start with that. And then you'll need to make sure that you've got a good system processing the work that you need to do. There are many different types of workload management or productivity system that you can use. It's about finding the one that works for you. I recommend having a look at Getting Things Done by David Allen. This particular system completely changed my career and my productivity and allowed me to absorb much more because I was organized and able to log, process and act on the seemingly endless fire hose of work that was coming my way. Until I discovered that system, I was finding it really difficult. And then how you adapt these workload management systems to your own needs is up to you. But you must implement something that allows you to take the mental load away from your own head, and there's absolutely no need to try and remember everything. Get the system working so that you're able to absorb demand, delegate and efficiently track things and then deliver consistently. For the advice that completely changed my career, have a look at this video in the card above. This was advice given to me by a colleague that set me off on a completely new direction in my career. You've got far too many meetings. This is such a common complaint. As you get more senior, there's no doubt that the number of meetings you need to attend goes through the roof. It's not uncommon for me to have between 40 and 50 meetings in a typical week. And again, like so much in leadership, the ability to manage the meeting is a vitally important and learnable skill that once you've mastered becomes second nature. I've got another course all about mastering meetings. This one's been really popular, so I'm pretty certain that it's a problem that many people, especially new managers, really want to solve. Again, check the link in the description for more information, and before you know it, you'll be controlling your calendar like a pro rather than having it dominate you. If you want to discuss any of these leadership problems, or if you've got any other new manager problems that you want my opinion on or my advice, then I offer direct career clinic call sessions where we can get on the phone and you can tell me all about what's bothering you and I'll see if I can help. There's a fair chance I've seen some of the challenges that you're experiencing at the moment. Links in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, have a look up there and I'll see you on that one. Thanks for watching.